As the Aryans and their Vedic religions expanded eastward into the Ganges River Valley, they naturally created opposition. Two great religious movements grew out of this opposition: Buddhism and Jainism. It's possible that Jainism had not spread widely because it is uncompromising. In it is found an extremist quality that is fascinating, thought-provoking, and often noble. Tendencies toward nonviolence and austerity appear in both Hinduism and Buddhism, and are carried their logical conclusion in Jainism and in the skepticism of early Buddhism. Jainism denies a creator God and is therefore atheistic, as it doesn't attach much importance to the many gods. So its mythology is bound up with the figures of the great teachers, the Tirthankaras, or ford makers, who enable the faithful to cross the stream of existence to the other shore, to liberation and to nirvana. It's notable that this term does not convey the image of a bridge. People can't cross to the other side without getting wet and going through the river itself. These teachers, though human, transcended the gods, just as the goal of the religion is transcendence of the world and achievement of a peaceful isolation far above the concerns of both gods and humans. Called Jainism from the fact that its adherents followed the Jinas, or victorious ones, who were great teachers who have reached perfection and shown people the path of salvation. The 24th and last of these was MAHAVIRA, born in Patna in North India around the 6th century BCE. Teachers stretch back to a distant past, but Mahavira's predecessor, Parsva, was an actual 8th century individual. The Jain claim to be a very ancient faith, restored and reformed by Mahavira. They have an elaborate system of doctrines, a rich mythology, a detailed ethic, a clear pragmatic ritual, and its own social organization, and a quest for an inner contemplative experience. The founder of Jainism was Mahavira, the second son of an aristocratic family of the warrior noble caste. He was given the name Naraputta, and he lived sometime between 599 and 488 BCE. One branch of Jains holds that he never married. Another says that he married in accordance with his parents' wishes and had a child. All Jain branches agree that at age 30, he withdrew from the world in order to live the life of a wandering holy man. He embraced extreme asceticism, and legends tell of harshness towards himself and the harshness received from others. For example, he is said to have pulled out his hair when he renounced the world, and villagers taunted him during his meditations by hurting him with fire and with pins that they pushed into his skin. Dogs attacked him, but he didn't resist. He lived as a wandering holy man, begging for his food along the way. He was so gentle that to avoid causing injury to any living thing, he strained whatever he drank in order to keep from swallowing any insect that might have fallen into his cup. He stepped carefully as he walked down the road to prevent himself from crushing even an ant. After 12 years of meditation, wandering, and extreme mortification, at the age of 42, he had an experience of great liberation. He felt completely free of all bondage to the ordinary world, no longer being troubled by pain, suffering, shame, or loss. He now felt fully in control of himself, sensing that he had won out over all the forces that bind a person to the world. As a result of this liberating experience, he is called a Jina. He spent the remainder of his life organizing and instructing disciples, and when he finally died, his soul was released and attained the motionless summit of the world and a continuous, isolated, and changeless existence. Jainism is unusual for its explicit atheism. The Mahabharata, a long Jain poem of the 9th century CE, states, "Foolish men declare that the Creator made the world. The doctrine that the world was created is ill-advised and should be rejected." They have some interesting questions that come out of this worldview. One of them is, if God is perfect, then why did he create an imperfect universe? The second, if God made the universe out of love, why is the world so full of suffering? If the universe had to be created, didn't God also need to be created? And where did God come from in the beginning? Jains deny any beginning and assert that the universe is eternal. Although the universe has always existed, it must continually change, and in the process of eternal change, structure arises on its own. The universe goes through regular cycles of rise and fall. During the periods when human beings exist, there is first moral integrity, followed by inevitable moral decay. But luckily, in each human age, Tirthankaras appear to point the way to freedom. Another part of the Jain worldview is a belief in Hylozoism. It's a view of reality that holds that everything is full of life and is capable of suffering. They also hold that there are two types of reality. The universe consists of these two types, and they're intermixed. The first is that of jiva, which is everything that senses and feels, and ajiva, meaning everything that is not alive and has no consciousness. Jains see life where others do not, such as fire, rocks, and water. They are also aware of the minuscule forms of life that live in earth, water, and wood, and their way of looking at reality makes them cautious about injuring anything, even that which does not at first appear to have the capacity to suffer. They believe that there are two components of human beings. First, you have the material side, which seeks pleasure, escape from pain, and self-interest. And you also have the spiritual side, which seeks freedom and escape from all bondage to the material world and from the limitation of the ego. The interesting thing is that human beings have the ability to understand this dual nature and can overcome their limitations with discipline. They can overcome the bondage of the material world and the body, liberating their bodies through insight, austerity, and kindness. Like Hindus, Jains believe that spirits are constantly being reborn in various forms. We also call that reincarnation. A spirit can move up or down the scale of rebirth, as well as free itself entirely from the chain of rebirths. What controls that direction of rebirth is, of course, karma, produced by every action. For Jains, karma has a physical quality. It's like a powder or grime that settles on and clings to the spirit. So the level of rebirth is determined automatically, according to one's state of karma at the time of their death. The Jain goal in life is to reach a state of superhuman freedom. Liberated spirits, at last freed of their imprisoning material bodies, live on in a higher realm, which is thought to be at the top of the universe. MAHAVIRA and other Tirthankaras dwell there, and although they can't assist human beings as deities might, they are role models whom human beings devoutly recall in order to gain strength and courage. Jainism has 5 ethical recommendations, which monks and nuns are expected to keep quite strictly. Lay people have the flexibility to adjust their practice to their particular life situations. These 5 precepts are nonviolence or ahimsa, non-lying, non-stealing, chastity, and non-attachment. A more accurate translation of the word ahimsa might be gentleness or harmlessness. It's the foundation of Jain ethics, and Jains are best known for their extreme measures in this regard. For example, in imitation of MAHAVIRA, Jain monks sometimes use a small soft brush to remove ants and other insects out of the way so that no life form, even the tiniest, will be crushed. Feeling a kinship with the animal world, they've established hospitals to care for sick and injured animals. They've been known to buy caged animals and to set them free. And they are strict vegetarians, some even rejecting the use of animal products such as leather, feathers, and fur. Because Jains avoid occupations that would harm insects or animals, hunting and fishing are forbidden, as are slaughtering or selling animal flesh. Although there are some Jain farmers, farming is often avoided because a plow could harm small animals and insects living in the fields. Jains have gravitated to jobs that ideally cause no hurt, such as being doctors, teachers, lawyers, accountants, and business people. As an indirect result, the Jains in India make up a powerful business class whose reputation for virtue earns them the trust of others. Jainism discourages the telling of any falsehood and avoids exaggeration, even when meant humorously. Lying and exaggeration are dangerous because they can often cause hurt. Although these ideals are not always followed, Jains' general care about speech and their reputation for honesty in their contractual agreements have earned them great respect. At the same time, Jainism teaches that absolute truth is impossible to find or express because everyone sees a situation from a unique point of view. Jains may not take from others that which is not giving. Stealing arises from improper desire and causes pain to others. For the monk or nun, chastity means complete celibacy, and for the married individual, this means sexual fidelity to one's spouse. MAHAVIRA saw sex as a danger because it strongly binds a person to the physical world, strengthens desires, and can create passions that harm others. Finally, non-attachment. Human beings form attachments easily to family, home, familiar territory, clothes, money, and possessions. All these attachments bring a certain bondage, and some attachments, especially to money and to possessions, can take complete control of a person. For lay people, this suggests cultivating a spirit of generosity and detachment and limiting one's possessions to what is truly necessary. For monks and nuns, this means the abandonment of all attachments, family, possessions, even clothing.